I'm Andrew Joseph Keith, and in this video lesson we're going to be going over how to make simple and quick wire armatures for hand sculptures. Let's get into it. As far as materials, I have a pair of pliers with wire cutters, and I have some aluminum wire, some soft aluminum wire. This is 8 gauge or about 3 millimeters thick, so a pretty thick wire. But you can do this same method with thinner wire and then just wrap additional wire around the armature once it's finished. This armature I want to do about life size. So I'm going to come most of the way down the forearm just before the elbow. That should be about long enough. Now I'm going to cut 5 of these lengths of wire. Now what I like to do is take 2 of the sections of wire, and then I move down the length of wire a little bit more than what I think I need. So just giving myself a little bit of space just below the wrist there. And now I'm going to twist these 2 lengths of wire tightly together. And I twist those together for about 2 inches or 4 centimeters till it looks like a little X chromosome or something. Then I'm going to do the same thing with another 2 wires. Now I put these together. And then I take one of the tails from the first set of wires and one of the tails from the second set of wires, and now I'm going to twist those together, again for about 2 inches. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2 wires. Then I'm going to go down another 2 inches and then switch back and take one of the lengths from this section, one of the lengths from the other section, and twist those together. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm twisting nice and tightly. With smaller armatures, sometimes I'll just twist all 5 of the wires together. But with larger ones that are a little bit harder to twist, I found that this method of weaving back and forth is a little bit more effective at getting a really good connection between all of the wires. Now I'm going to take the last length of wire and then insert it about 2 of those braided sections down the wrist. So that's about 4 inches, 4 or 5 inches, or 8 centimeters. I'm going to insert a little bit of it between those wires and then wrap it around nice and tight all the way up to the wrist. And this last length of wire is going to represent the thumb, and so it's okay if it's a little bit shorter than the other sections of wire. And nice and tight. Okay, now we have a tree. And you can just forget about making the hand because this is a work of art on its own. You can put this on your desk, sell it in a gallery for thousands of dollars. No need to make a hand. You've got an abstract sculpture already finished. Okay, now we're going to arrange the wires to more resemble a hand. If I see that there's a wire that's longer than the others, then I'll try to put that where the middle finger is and then kind of spread out the wires and give some space in between the wires. And then to check it, I'm going to hold it so that the wrist of this wire armature is at the wrist of my hand. If you're making a smaller wire armature, like half life size or 1/3 life size, then you can hold it closer to you, but make sure that this middle point of the wrist and the tip of the middle finger align with the middle point of your wrist and the tip of your middle finger as you're checking the lengths of all of the fingers. But for this one, because it's life size, we can just put it directly up to the hand, and we'll kind of bend the wires so that it aligns better with the fingers. And some of those are pretty close, a little bit too long, so take those pliers with wire cutters, cut off a little bit of that. Just a tiny bit of the middle finger. We're going to remove a little bit of the pointer finger. All right, and there we have a wire armature for the hand. Now what we can do is locate the knuckles of the hand by just bending the wire. Start with the thumb, make a little bend for that first knuckle of the thumb, and the same for the second knuckle. As I'm measuring on the palm, you have to realize that the knuckles at the back of the hand are kind of in the middle of this padded section of the palm. The knuckles don't begin where the fingers separate. In fact, the separation between the fingers, that skin separation, happens about halfway between this first knuckle and the second knuckle. And so I'm making sure that the bend that I have in this armature happens at that knuckle, at this padded area of the palm of the hand. That's really important. About right there. For the middle finger first, sometimes using the pliers can help you get a more sharp angle. Okay, there we go on that first knuckle. We can use the halves method, and that just means finding halfway point of the hand from the wrist to the middle finger, half of that, and then cut it in half again, and that's about where the next knuckle will be. And then half of that last section is the last knuckle. Half of that, and then half of that. I'm just giving a little bit of a bend to indicate those knuckles. Okay, there we go on those. Now I'm just going to add some of the rhythms of the hand. So the palm is a little bit curved, so I'm going to press the middle two fingers back a little bit, and the pointer finger and the pinky are going to come forward just a little bit. And then the fingers also curve in a little bit as they move towards the tips of the fingers. The thumb also kind of turns forward a little bit. Okay, now we have an indication of where the knuckles are, some of the gestures of the hand, the tips of the fingers, and the length of the phalanges. You could take additional wire, maybe some thinner wire, and wrap it around this armature. And what that does is it gives some extra support, but it also allows the clay to grab onto the armature just a little bit better. Here you can see an armature where I've done just that. But make sure if you do that to include the space in between the fingers. You don't want to make the mistake of having the fingers too close in space, no space in between them, and then them just sticking out from one another. That looks very ridiculous. That's not how the fingers are. So make sure you include that space in between the fingers, and then a little triangle for this section in the thumb, and you want that wire to come out below where that first knuckle of the thumb is. Or you can just start sculpting on top of this simple wire armature. So now if you'd like to take the armature from this stage to a finished sculpture of the hand that's well made, then be sure to get the full course. Now go ahead and make your own wire armature hand. Till next time, stay creative, stay productive. I'll see you in the next lesson.